insane. And the one about Mark Breland, his corner man, giving him putting something in his water is, absurd. I mean, just totally off the chart.
Yeah.
Those are the words of Bob Arum as he shows his disgust with Deontay Wilder, recapping the things that Deontay Wilder said and accused Tyson Fury of. Shout outs to Sporting Icons for getting this exclusive interview with Bob Arum, as Bob Arum also breaks down the mediation and also what the PBC feels about Deontay Wilder's accusations. Okay, now listen to this.
Have you spoken to Shelly Finkel about any of this since?
No, I don't talk with Shelly Finkel.
Oh, do you not?
No, I don't like Shelly Finkel.
Fair enough.
But we've mentioned it to the Wilder people, the technocrats with PBC are pretty nice people.
Okay.
So, I mean, they were disgusted with it as well.
Okay.
Wow. Now, we know that Deontay Wilder fights for Fox, PBC, like Bob Arum said, the technocrats, okay? They are the people, they are the networks, okay? The networks, those are the people that hold the power, okay? Al Heyman is the bridge to those power. He's like the bridge between the fighter to the network. So that's where Al Heyman comes in. But the networks ultimately are the people that hold the power. That's like NBC, CBS, Fox, PBC, NBC, those type, HBO, Showtime. Those guys are the networks. Sky Sports for you guys across the pond, BT Sports, those type. Those are the networks ultimately. And according to Bob Arum, he hadn't spoke with Shelly Finkel, and I'll get to him in a second, but he spoke with these networks and they thought the whole idea was absurd. Okay. And they are just torn out off there to the point where obviously they think it's crazy that Wilder thinks this way as well. And so if anybody had any type of question that asked, well, what does other people feel about that? The networks are not behind it. Okay. And that's another bad sign for Team Wilder. Why? Because see, if the networks, if the Nevada State Athletic Commission, which I'll get to in a second, if all these guys were on board that Wilder had any type of case of foul play, of negligence, of glove tampering, or what all that other shit that they came up with, it would be a totally different situation. It would be in court. It wouldn't be about getting financial compensation. It would be about compensation, but it would be criminal. Okay, and they would have support of their fighter. As Bob Arum let you guys know, that those guys over on those networks don't even support the claims that Wilder has. And that's bad, because that means the network that you decided to stay with, being dumbly loyal, won't even support you. You turned down a DAZN deal to go fight or stay on Showtime. They gave you $10 million to fight Dominic Breazeale and to stay with Showtime. Then they dropped you. Then PBC Fox, Al Heyman had another bridge with other networks, which was PBC Fox. And then that's where he stayed with. And then now they showed him their ass, or they showed him that they don't believe you, basically. Okay, I'm not going to turn this into well, they're against him. No, they're not against him. They're just not in support of him. Okay, so it's not all about a person turning your back on you, but it's them not supporting you when they think that you're wrong. In this case, this is what this is about. Okay, so let's move forward. Before we move forward, though, Shelly Finkel. Okay, Shelly Finkel would be the person that you should talk to, because that is a part of Wilder's team. JD's and Shelly Finkel. Now that's another bad sign, because you have both guys. I haven't heard anything from JD's at all. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't done any interviews. I haven't seen him in the gym. I haven't heard anything from that guy whatsoever since, shit, who knows? April? March? Right? Okay, I haven't seen him since. Okay, we've heard a lot about Mark Breland because Mark Breland was supposed to be the guy that did what he's supposed to did to sabotage his own fucking fighter. And we'll get to that too. But I feel that Shelly Finkel and JD's, there's a reason you haven't seen those guys, because those guys, I don't think, want to be in the spotlight. I don't even think they want to even comment on those, because I don't really believe that they believe that shit either. Until I hear them come out and say, like Shelly Finkel, yes, I think Deontay did have it was an unfair fight. If I hear something like that, or JD's, yeah, I think it was unfair, right? You know what I mean? I have got to wait to see that. You know what I mean? That's something that I want to see, because that proves more for the support of Wilder and what these guys that works for him believes about his own accusations towards Tyson Fury. Okay, so I think that's a missing link, a couple missing pieces in this whole scenario when it comes to shutting this shit down. All right, so let's continue with this interview.
You understand? I don't know if I've discussed this with you. Let's take the gloves.
Yeah.
Now, you know that he said that Fury loaded the gloves, etc., put stuff in his gloves and so forth. Now, the fight was in Nevada. Now, Nevada has a procedure to prevent anything tampering with the gloves or putting anything in the glove. And the procedure is this. After the weigh-in, they lay out 4 pairs of gloves. And each fighter picks his set of gloves and signs it, set number 1. Then they pick up their other set number 2, and they sign it. Then the commission takes the gloves.
So, what Bob Arum is referring to is the procedures now. Now, we know the procedures of the gloves, so he continues.
And the gloves are locked in a safe in the commission office, and they come out the night of the fight and handed to 2 inspectors, one for Wilder and one for Fury. The glove number 1 for each guy. Now, the glove is then delivered by the inspector in the dressing room to each fighter. There's another inspector there, and in the presence of both inspectors, the fighters gloved up. So the idea that any tampering with the gloves is absurd. Now, if it was in another jurisdiction, there might be a possibility that it could happen, although it's unlikely. But in Nevada, it's impossible.
So, as Bob Arum explains the gloves, he explains the procedures and what they do of the gloves. He says because it's in Nevada, you have no possible way of cheating. Now, let me counter. Okay. Now, this is where the Wilder